Okay, welcome to game 4. I'm playing against an undefeated demon list. I don't have his list in front of me, so I'll have to go from memory. We played the mission was Master of Secrets. There's a little monolith, little square thing inside our circle. Is the monolith. You can control it and get a magic missile that does die 6, strength 5 hits on an enemy unit within 24 inches. No line of sight required. We can each fight for it, so whatever, if we're both within 6 inches of it, leadership test, best leadership test wins. There's no way I'm standing up next to a demon player to make a leadership test. That's just silly. But the one with possession of it at the end of the game gets 5 extra bonus points. So, and it's the angle deployment one. He started right on the line basically with his flamers and his wonderful bloodletter unit. He has around 40 bloodletters in there. Has the herald and the banner, which lets him get an extra dice of charge distance. Then he's got I think it's 39 horrors with a herald. And then he's got another 39 horrors with a herald. Both Zinch wizards. And then we got 5 screamers off on the side. I haven't played demons too much, so we'll see how it goes. There's my how I arrayed out. Plan was to send my furnace with the other trickster shard at the center demon unit, try to get rid of it, and then hopefully come back and take out the other one. Hopefully my abomination and my rat ogres can whittle down the other horror unit. But then he told me everything that he has in his army is flaming, so I did not have a lot of hope for my abomination. My other warp lightning cannon is on right behind the marsh on the left, and then you see my tunneling deployment off on the side. Figured that way they might be able to mess with the flamers or get a flank and help out my 4 infantry units. That's the plan. Let's see how it worked. Well, Demons got the first turn. He declared a charge on my skink slave unit. I chose to flee after I found out about his banner. The other slave unit was a slightly farther. He had to roll a 12 on 3 dice. So it was less likely than the 10 that he had to roll for the other one. So I held with that slave unit. Worst case scenario, he hits it, and my other clan rats are far enough behind that even if he overran, he's not going to hit anything else. So I just didn't want him getting to my general's unit right away. The flamers and the monolith fired at my slaves, killing a few, but I was within range for my general, so I had leadership 9 on it to pass the panic check. The Zinch magic missiles are brutal. 2d6 strength of die 6 plus 4 flaming attacks. That can kill any monster. I used my Dispel Scroll the first turn. I used all my dice on another one, and he still had enough casting to get another one off of my abomination, who took 4 wounds. So yeah, obviously my abomination is not going to be a key factor in this game. So on to Skaven turn 1. Okay, Skaven turn 1. I pulled a couple of risky maneuvers, hoping they would pay off. They didn't. So that was bad on my job. So I started out with declaring a charge with my slave unit on the flamers. I know they're not as good in hand-to-hand, so I figured if I could lock them down, maybe get rid of a couple, it would be a good thing for me. He stand and shot. killed 5. I did pass my panic check, but failed. I rolled like a 4-inch charge, so I didn't get anywhere. Then my furnace declared a charge on his left horror unit. Again, I rolled a like 5-inch charge, so I went forward a whole 3 inches. And my rat ogre declared a charge on his other Zinch unit. Again, I rolled a pair of 2s, so I went 2 inches forward. And I was like, well, let's see if my abomination can get over there. And I rolled 5 inches for my abomination. I just was not destined to get in combat first turn. My slaves that fled the first turn rallied, so that was good. I moved my clan rats, my small unit of clan rats up, so that if he did charge them, I could get a flank charge with my main unit of clan rats, or if he charged them, he'd have to overrun past my my seer. But I'd also be steadfast, so I figured I could take a round or two. Magic, I got close enough to cast Plague on his Bloodletters and Curse of the Horned Rat on for the 13th spell on his middle horror unit. So those are the 2 spells I tried to cast. He let Plague go off. I got 10 through past his ward saves, but it didn't jump around to anybody. And then I think I actually got it off, but got off the 13th spell, but he used his scroll. So that was Skaven turn 1. Okay, Daemons turn 2. He did an interesting maneuver. He backed up his Bloodletters. I thought that was interesting. And he backed up both of his horror units too. I wasn't really expecting him to back up with everything, but there you go. Then his Screamers decided to all fly over the Abomination and finish it off. The Flamers killed a whole bunch of slaves, and they panicked and started to run. Then he, in the magic phase, the only spell he got off 2 spells. One, he did some wounds to my General's Clan Rat unit. And he did a few wounds to my other Clan Rat unit. And he did the wounds of the Clan Rat unit is one where he can create a horror for every 3 that he kills. He killed 4 Clan Rats, and so he got a horror. Okay, there's 1 horror there. And that was pretty much Demon turn 2. Alright, Skaven turn 2. First things up, I got both my tunneling team and my wonderful gutter runners up. The tunneling team came up just right to the flank of his flamers. I sent just my tunneling team in. I didn't send my warp grinder in. I didn't want him killing some easy points there, and me reducing my attacks. That was a plan with that. I decided not to. I made both my frenzy tests not to charge. Even the rat ogres did on their 6, so that was good. And marched them both as far as I could, all the way up into the horror's face. I should have done that turn 1. I went for some risky business and it didn't pay off turn 1. So my gutter runners came on down behind his Screamers. I'm hoping to eliminate some of them. I was able to do so. The poison worked all well on them, and then the warp lightning cannon fired at them and took out. They did a total of 5 wounds, I think. They have 2 wounds each. The other cannon fired and killed quite a few of the Bloodletters. Also in the magic phase, he let Wither get off on his horrors in the middle. So I was wounding them on... they'll be toughness 2 now. Very important for later on for that unit. I could have cast it on the right horror block, but the Rat Ogre's already wounding on 2s, so I didn't think it would help him out very much. I brought my slaves up in line, back a little bit, so if he charges my clan rats, he'll have to overrun my slaves, which still gives me a flank charge. So there's all my plans in a nutshell. On to Demon turn 2. Okay, well, I meant Demon turn 3. But anyways, my play worked. He charged my clan rat units with his bloodletters. We just set him off to the side, marking where the guys would be, due to the immovable monument of stuff in the middle. Yeah, it works. His screamers charged my cannon. Easily broke it hand to hand and ran it down. The single horror charged my fleeing unit of slaves, which fled farther. Didn't finish him off. Yeah, magic. I think he failed to cast a couple of spells, and that pretty much stopped that. So yeah, he didn't get a lot off this turn. So on to Skaven turn 3. Okay, Skaven turn 3 charges my Plague Monks charged the horror unit in the front. The Raggers charged to hold up his other horrors. I moved my clan rats up to get closer to the monolith so I could start controlling that. Brought my Night Runners around to deal with the horror units. I would rather deal with the horror units before I deal with the bloodletters, since the horrors can cast really, really nasty spells. Yeah, and in the magic phase, I reduced his toughness down to 1 on that unit, but right now, after close combat, between all the toughness tests on a 1 and re-rolling successful ward saves due to the other Trickster Shard, and I think I used the Plague Banner as well, and just annihilated him down. He made a really good leadership check, like a 3 or a 4, but it still got him down to 4 models left, including the Herald. So hopefully finish off that one next turn. My Gutter Runners moved closer to the Screamers, but I think I was out of range, and my cannon fired at the Screamers, and I think I got a misfire on the second die roll or something. And he killed and ran down my clan rats with the bloodletters. There we go. On to Demon turn. Alright, Demon turn 4. He flew his Screamers over my clan rat unit to do some damage on him. Reformed his bloodletters. I think he made it swift to bring him in. Magic, he cast Gleam Magic, which takes one of my spells. He miscast on it, sucked his dude into the warp, his last Herald of Tzeentch, so that killed the rest of his magic phase, and the explosion took out a whole bunch of horrors too, so that was helpful. He took poison, the blessing of filth, off of my Plague Priest and put it on his horrors. He was talking about taking plague from my seer and casting it on that combat too, because he could do that. But I felt that the poison would probably be better, and I still think it would have been, and it was. He killed a whole bunch of rat ogres using that poison. He did that combat first because it was his choice, and I lost combat by a couple. Wasn't too much because I did kill quite a few. Needing Snake Eyes to stay, the Rat Ogre stayed. I was thoroughly impressed. So was he. And then I wiped out the rest of his horrors in the other unit with the Plague Furnace in close combat. I don't even think I got to my attacks. I think the the toughness tests, and the priest finished him off. And then I reformed to face the flank of his other horror unit. Yeah. And on to Skaven turn. Alright, this is the last picture. We ran out of time after this turn, so this is where the game ended on the end of turn 4. My Plague Furnace successfully charged into the flank of his horrors. Did massive damage. Won the combat by 14. So total combat resolution score, I'm up 14 points. He had 13 models left at that time. His leadership 7. He rolled a 6, which meant that 13 models died, so I wiped out that unit exactly. I got lucky. On the left, my slaves moved up to redirect his bloodletters for the next turn, should we have gotten there. And then my seer cast Plague on that unit, killed 9 or 10, or I think it did 10 wounds on him. Then tried to cast the 13th spell to finish him off, and did not get enough to cast it. And then that's where the game ended. Still, it was a strong win for the Skaven on this one too. Still had all my characters. 2 big units. A unit of slaves is still alive. How'd that happen? And I still had up cannon. So all in all, good victory for the Skaven. So 3-1 overall. Thanks for listening.